We'll also sell the book in the back of a match cover if you really have to have that. And then tissue paper, we've got our own little tissue paper roll that have the poems on them, so that's pretty cool. So it's not bad. Not bad. So. All right, this, can you hear me? Yeah. All right, these poems are on this book, The Madness of Empty Spaces. It's kind of a religious allegory in some sense, in some of the book poems that it will cover that. I'll read some of them. Some of them are probably more apropos for Halloween and Christmas, but we'll go with that. It is dark poetry. The book has been put on the Horror Writers Association's recommended reading list, which is cool. And so we've already got a little bit of press. No sales, but a little bit of press. We'll get there. So the first poem I'm going to read, it's a science fiction poem, just to introduce you to something a little different. And I'm only going to read it because I'm going to read it at the Friendswood Library in January. And I got a little note from the fellow there who wanted a copy of it to include in a blog to describe about the book and the poet reading. So this one's a little different. It's a little lighter because I'm going to read some dark stuff in a second. So I'll get into this. The traveling salesman finishes his run. Anomalies are so cliche. The soft hum of the Class 3 Alcubera spitting us from the lips of the transversible horizon always has its side effects. I become a primordial slug inching on the evolutionary plane's parallel strings, my antennae probing lost patches of fractured reality. At least the colors are amusing. But they fade as I find myself slithering unexotically over a half-eaten package of peanuts and an empty can of soda. Just hazards of the trade. The movie was boring anyway. I'm content. I've met my quota. We decelerate through the other door. My arms reformed, my legs reshaped. I became who I am. I finished the last of the honey roasteds. The garbled recording reminds us to return our tray tables to the upright position, presuming up and down in 0G, thanking us for taking the company plane. I reached down to secure the suitcase of samples under the seat in front of it as instructed. Looking out at the cerulean pearl, embedded with swirls of red storms, circling a familiar bloated star, I sigh, happy. I will again be sleeping in my own bed, my only apprehension being whether I remembered to let the cat out before I left. Yeah. That one's a little different. It's like, things were going on a trip in science fiction, etc. Yeah. Now this one is a vampire poem, all right? So you probably haven't heard vampire poems too often, but there's a lot of them out there, and there's a whole genre, and they actually pay. I got $25 for this poem from Isotropic Fiction, a magazine that's been publishing in dark fiction and dark poetry, so that's cool. I'll see if I can read it in the proper voice. It's called Gothic. There is nothing to fear in the dark. Clothes draped over a chair, a row of perfume decanters on a dresser, dressed in Lay's ballerina, stoically posing in porcelain. The contortions of shadow are only the interference with the sulfur glow of a distant street lamp bleeding through the imperfections of your window coverings. There is nothing to fear in the dark, except for me. She is supple. She's soft, she's eager. Her want equal of the cold heat of need in my ancient veins. I sense the warm flow of fresh life in the major intersections on the lines of her neck and breasts. Her dance with the absence of light foments the wave of addiction in me. Gasping in joyful agony as her body releases into me, a soul long inhibited, a lifelong hidden by the chastity of her barren son. She is spent to make me full, yet she goes into the void, satisfied. There is nothing to fear in the dark. The aches and moans in the stillness, nothing more than the change of temperature affecting the joist and molding of the room. No, it's not pain you hear, only wood relaxing in the fall of the day's heat. There is nothing to fear in the dark, except for me. Such history I've lived, waves of blood spilled on useless earth, wasted on sunlight, while wine-bloated kings complained of the toughness of their meat and lusted for the skin of their servants. Corpulence and decadence, all gladly entertained, all justified and with speckled-robed holiness, they volunteer themselves to this fate, all feeding me. I have no guilt to drain the already dying. Death is what I am. They cannot object or protest that I fulfill their lust to seduce the shadows of their own rooms. Vlad the Impaler, Vlad the Destroyer, Vlad the Dragon's Son, monikers of no meaning now. The infection has claimed my true name. I am only the darkness you seek to embrace, to join. You have no need for my name. It is eternal night spilling into your voids that you need. It is the one dead night with me. In the souls of those who sit in the dark, such desire and unfulfilled thirst. In those who sit and wait and whine and beg and hunger in the dark, I come in their darkness so that they do not need to fear, so they will not hunger or want or be empty, lonely, pining, unfulfilled. It is why they never turn on the light when I enter. It is why they leave the windows unfastened, allowing me to consummate in the shadows of unlocked rooms. No shouts, no screams, for there is nothing to fear in the dark. The earth is cold, it is my bed, long devoid of sun, long purged of roots and green, long scourged of the nutrients of the living. This earth is cold, it is my bed, it smells of me, the me that sleeps in the absence of light, the me that lies next to you, seeping your warmth, inviting and cajoling you. There is nothing to fear in the dark except for me. Darkness slips into your mind, the pain eases in the quiet. You are disheveled from the hustle of your failings. You are mishandled from the lack of eternal night. The silhouettes bending across your sheets are just reflections of your absence. Stretch for me. Embrace for me. There is nothing to fear in the dark. It is only the absence of light. Thank you. That was a bit long one, but I got one more long one since I was told I had unlimited amount of time. The entire night if I
here all night in the dark.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there is that too. I'll read a couple of short ones, and this one's a goofy one that's called I Am Robot, and you can't really see it, but there's a whole bunch of zeros and ones. And what I did is I wrote a little snippet of a poem, a silly thing, and then I found myself a translator that translates characters into computer code, supposedly, so it's by zeros and ones. And so this is what a robot would be saying to its master, I am robot. And the translation is as follows. I am robot. I process zeros and ones. This is all I can do because I am robot. No reason to excuse me, I am just a machine. If I am stupid, it is because you made me stupid. Stupid. That's it. Some of these are short. All right. Now this one's X-ray glasses. It's a little bit of childhood poem and a little bit of lust in it, so you'll like that. So anyway, here we go. X-ray glasses. $6.99 short of voyeuristic bliss. The ads taunted my hormones. The screaming mammary burden brunette. All the proof I needed of their authenticity. If only the payday bars here did not have that caramel center and that salty peanut crust, and the gold key pulps did not have so many worlds to explore, then maybe my financial portfolio would grow, and then the dark-eyed girl next door would not snicker at me, reading Dr. Solar and Magnus on the steps of the front porch, eyeing her frame as she walks by, ever so slowly, in tight white shorts. I'll do another one. And this one is a dark poem, so let's see. You know, the whole thing about when you write dark poems, you have to be careful and keep a modicum. You don't want your audience running outside and killing themselves. That's really not really conducive. You want them to buy your book at least before they do that, and then get yourself to that position, right? So as we go. So let's see if I can find this one here I was looking at. And, oh, it's here. Always look at the index if worst comes to worst, right? So here we go. Okay, 47. And this one is written in two different modes, in a way. You can read it very solemnly with a Dylan Thomas sort of voice, or you can read it rather sarcastically. And I can't do it sarcastically well enough, so I'm going to do the Dylan Thomas now. It's called Emperors of the Grass. And it's dark, okay? I mean, it's like one of those depressing things, so don't worry about it. Emperors of the Grass. What regalia is the matted grass under the dripping moss, the warm ground searing the metal-laden subterranean thrones, the endless keep protecting its proud master. Here is the empire of the sunless kings who dust rail against the yellow stream of the raised dogleg, a brackish reign of bitter life. The mud-covered names choke in the festering grass after struggling to pronounce the names of their once comfortable kingdoms, wanting to scream mockery of the bard's play. My kingdom, my kingdom, my kingdom for a drop of sun! Let lie the emperors of the lonely space, whose cold faces know the truths of place. Let lie these warriors of the nightly quest, the browning sod, their domain of rest. Like I said, you can read that couple. Okay. And how am I doing time-wise, Weasel?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good, okay. Now this is another one that was published in, this is kind of a dark one, but they all are, I guess. It was published in Dustin's Harbinger Asylum, and I like it. I've gotten a couple of good feedback from it. It's called Securing the Room, so it's a little rough one. Securing the Room. Melly always closes her closet door before she turns out the lights. She leans her straw-woven chair against the knob and stuffs the gap between the lower panels of the carpet with her long rainbow socks to seal the tendrils of dark she knows slither from the cracks to invade her while she sleeps. She closes her blinds tightly and draws back the lace shanties that decorate the shiny white window frame, blocking all fingers of creeping wicked light that land on her bed between her legs. She knows to keep a black cross over her headstand and a pagan-webbed dream catcher under her pillow to thwart the nightmares and winged terrors that ravage her dreams. Even when hiding under her thick pink floral comforter, blue bears and red bunnies to guard on the bed. She does these things because they are the things she can do. The one door she cannot lock, the one shadow she cannot block, belonging to the blood-eyed man looming in the frame as the red-labeled bottle quells conscious thought from her blank-eyed mother in the large room down the hall. Now I'm going to try again to read 7 Hauntings. What do you think?
You're good.
I'll give that a try, and then I'll be done. That's a long one. Is that all right? Okay.
You're fine.
Okay, I'm doing okay. All right.
Yeah.
This is long, though. This is called 7 Hauntings and 7 Storms, and I'll give you the dates as I go along. And it's a story about a haunting, literally, as you might say, during different hurricanes that hit Galveston, Texas. So 7 Hauntings and 7 Storms, Galveston, Texas. Let's see, because I read this once, and the last time I read it, it was pouring down rain, and we were at the last concert cafe, and there was a metal roof, and it was on the metal roof, and there was all this, and it was very dark, and lightning and storm, and it was apropos, so it worked out.
How much do you have to pay to set that?
What?
How much do you have to pay to set that?
Yeah, well, it costs a lot, don't worry. But this one will be a little bit. So those of us who actually, in the Clear Lake area, lived through these storms, some of these storms, and perhaps Galveston. So 7 Hauntings and 7 Storms, Galveston, Texas. 1900, the unexplained child, naked and cold on hard sand, splattering the green paint on her thigh, claimed by no one on the aisle, Jane Doe, number 8. As he fell, his skin catching the trail of blue paint falling with him, the man with the gray eyes still imagines himself on the ladder, glaring through the open window at the exposed leg of the owner's sleeping girl, knowing the emptiness of the house, the timing of those gone to market, and the time needed to raise the breeches to gain his desire. Yet the rung he thought was there wasn't, and he fell as he saw the dark-haired Jane staring down at him from the loose shingles on the roof, her form dissipating as the sky reeled, the words, "No more," ringing in his mind, a shout that flooded him as the ground reached for him, breaking the shell of his existence, releasing him to the darkness, opening the gateway to hell. In the horizon, a red sky rose. This death would not be noticed. 1922. 7 times and 7 nights she tried to sleep in the room facing the street as the rising moan of the trees strained in the wind. A cold touch creeped under her leg and pushed into her. She dreamed of green hands, now bloody with her virginity. Screaming, she awoke the family, who admonished her, falling. "It's a dream. It's just a storm. It'll pass. Just go to bed and don't wake us again." 7 nights and 7 times she lost her virgin soul to the paint-splashed hand that formed at the fold of her dress, reaching into her, warm tears running on her cold skin, the room washed in blue light from a mid-month moon. On the 8th night, a sharp edge, guided by a maddened hand, ended the pleasures of the specter. Like spilled paint, her life flowed under the white sheets as a cloud occluded the moon. 1932. It is unbearable. Nothing grows in this house. The plants die within days. Trees are skeletal hulls. Farms for termites and ants. Shadows run from the rooms whenever light interrupts the empty dark. And the wood walls in the rain. The wood wails in the rain. A wounded dog dying in pain. And now this storm isolates us. We're prisoners in these wounds, scarring the eaves and planks. I am going insane here. Insane! Listen to the rhythm of swollen beams. Listen to the sobbing of the stains of red lingering on the bedroom floor. Feeling the twisting torture of a natural wood assaulted by nature as my wife sits in a room down the hall, huddled with our 2 hushed children. No one on the outside will hear over the thunder the lament of broken weather on the frame of this soiled home. The final crossing of the ledge, that paint can with a loose top knocked over in an argument by the children, fomenting me to rage with the storm. 4 bullets in the chambers, just enough. 1947. 1 death. Only 1 death. The entire city sighed in relief, not bothering to ask, not interested to seek the cause of a man crucified on a wall, his nails the remnants of broken branches ripped from a dying oak by minimal winds, and a wail that echoed in the air like a sick fog stinking of sulfur. Such a queer accident. It'll make the house harder to sell, the realtor thinks, pounding another sign on the front. 1960. The locomotion of evolution brought the mason's trowel, dislocating the walls and memories of the old house into a heap, installing new veins to power a blue gas sign. Fast food has come with the fast times, neon splashed across the facade. A drive-in window, instant nourishment, instant pleasure at the ice cream dilly bar, peanuts and caramel and vanilla on a stick. But the door is shut after 2 months, and the next door is shut, and the doors thereafter. Fried chicken, roasted chicken, burgers and melts, fish and chips, tamales and patos, barbacoa and cilantro, Cajun food, soul food, New Age food, each variation ending in the same darkness. There is something about this place, this location. Nothing grows in it. Everything it touches dies. Owners, customers, workers, the auto that broke through the front gate, killing 3, a misdirected foot to the wrong pedal, a stray dog found in the front walk, flies festering, always an excuse, always the same emptiness. As Carla's black skin caresses the silk of the island, she directs her mind to this unholy emptiness, this place of accidents, death and failure, and rips its roof off, glass, neon tubing, drive-in speaker, attic joist and frame scattering in the ebony sky. The foundation and frame remain, eyeless with its broken glass, but the air still hangs in the mold. This ground cannot be cleansed. 1983. Restoration. Faux Victorian splendor erects a facade on the old beams and bones, wood, windows, and walls taken from the remnants of the corpses of other homes long lost. Pink and purple paint announce new owners, a revival of old things and old times, plaster angels molded on the pillars of the new porch. But still, the rafters moan in a light wind. August blows with Alicia's wake, the curved glass which shimmered in the old frames, now knives slicing through the rooms, the owners confident in their work, now sleeping forever in red sheets. 2008. The unexplained child, naked and cold on the splintering wood, a splash of green paint on her thigh, claimed by no one on the aisle, Jane Doe number 8. The floodwaters rise, the corner studs hold, the peeling skin clings to the frame, the unoccupied house, the place even rats refuse to enter. Stairs still go up to a barren floor, perfect for the commission of dark crimes in a dark place at such a dark moment. The man with a hidden face looks down on number 9, already unconscious from his blows. The girl with no name, whom no one will claim or miss, the wind still screaming the unnoticed death as the floorboards buckle and he falls to the point of a broken beam. He sees a fading dark-haired Jane, hanging to the words, "No more," ringing in his mind. Outside, the green sky roils as the wind pushes to cleanse the foundation, but cannot.